Kind of hard to believe I could get something like this out of something like this. Oh, hey guys. Yeah, come on back. Pull up a bench here. I was just wanting to share this with you. I think it's really cool. Everyone that's seen it thinks it's really cool. Basically what I did was I took a bunch of these crate boards that I had, or pallet boards, and I worked with them and sanded them down. And this bench that I'm sitting on right now is made out of 100% recycled materials. I used some 2x4s for the legs, but other than that, and I know it looks like steel on camera, but that's actually not steel. So I wanted to pull you in here and show you just how beautiful this thing turned out, and give you something positive to look at here. I know there's a lot of negativity out there in the world right now, and sometimes I need a break from all that. And so what I do is I concentrate on trying to, hone my skills, like my woodworking skills, my welding skills, my mechanical skills, firearms trainings, things like that. Different kinds of things that you might want to do just to keep your head on straight. You don't want to get too overwhelmed with all this stuff, all the prepping and all the other things that can just be very overwhelming, and it's good for your mind to do something like a building project like this, especially something useful that you could use, or maybe I might even try to sell one or two of these things and see how that goes. But I'm going to get you pulled in here and we'll show you how we put this together. Okay, so now you've got a little bit closer look at it. You can just see how beautiful that top wood turned out, and clearly I did something to darken up that bottom wood there. And what I did was the old Japanese technique called, I believe, shoshugiban or something like that. It's where you basically burn the wood, and I used a torch to achieve that. And once you do all that, you clean it off with just like a soft brush or whatever, and then you can put stain or whatever. In my case, I ended up using a deck sealer type material that was clear, and I coated it on like 3 layers thick so that it would be nice and weather resistant. So the idea with the burned wood there is that it keeps the bugs from being able to eat the wood up so quickly. Not to say that it's a guarantee, but it definitely reduces the appetite of the termites and different bugs like that nibble on wood. So anyhow, I'm going to get you pulled into the shop. I've got one that we're actually just about to put the burn treatment on, and we're also getting ready to stain it, but I can show you the construction on it a little bit easier than I can on this one. It's very simple. Again, it's all made out of like, I believe those are 1x4 boards that I ended up getting off of these big crates. So yeah, a few years ago, maybe even as many as 4 or 5 years ago, a buddy of mine was working over at a place where they were getting these big shipments of rubber in to do their job, and they came in these big coils, and these coils came in these crates. And the crates aren't nailed together very seriously. They've got like little pin nails in all the sides, so they're real easy to get apart without destroying the boards. But you can just see how weathered they are. And as they've been out here weathering, some of them broke, a couple of them cracked here and there, and we can't use those for benches or for making any outdoor furniture. But the ones that didn't, we certainly can. So that's what I've been doing, is taking these apart carefully and using these boards here. So hopefully this one here that I haven't finished will help us to be able to look at how I constructed this thing, because I'm not going to go through, showing clips of me cutting all the different boards and all that stuff. Personally, myself, I find those kinds of videos boring, and I typically just fast forward to the end when they show the finished product. I thought I would do a video in the opposite fashion, where I just basically show you the finished product up out front, and then I show you one that's unfinished, so you can kind of get your own ideas and develop your own ideas based on the materials you have available. But all those top boards are just 1x4s. The sides are also 1x4s. Hopefully I've got you in frame there where you can kind of see the undercarriage. Essentially what I did was I took those 1x4s and made a rectangle to begin with on this shop floor, because it's a nice concrete flat surface. So I made a nice square rectangle to begin with, and then I nailed on all of the upper seat boards, and that kind of squared everything up. And then I put a center brace in, and I didn't actually center it right in the middle, because right in the middle ended up being right in one of the cracks between the two boards, the space between the two boards, and I didn't want to be able to see that, so I kind of offset that just a tiny bit. That's all screwed together. So I used basically construction screws to construct the rectangle, and then on the top I nailed those down because I didn't want to see the screw heads. I wanted it to look old-fashioned, like something you could have bought 100 years ago, right? So anyways, you can see basically on the legs here I just used 2x4s, and I cut those to about 15 inches long. And you can see I put a board on the bottom like this. And the reason I did this was because I designed these to be outdoor furniture. So the idea that I have with this is that one day that bottom board right there is going to rot out, and I screwed it on there. So one day when it does rot out, even with the, the burning technique, even with the ancient Japanese methods of preserving wood, it's still, and putting finish on top of it, it's still eventually going to rot out, because that's just the nature of wood. So if I live long enough for that to occur, then, or whoever buys this from me or uses this in the future or inherits it or whatever may happen with it, if they know that they can just change out that rotten bottom board by putting a new one on, that'll keep from rotting out the legs up here. So that was the idea anyway. There's the undercarriage of it. I think you get the basic idea. I made mine stand 18 inches tall. I mean, almost exactly 18 inches tall. It might be just a, 1/16 under or something like that, but it's very close to 18, and that worked out perfect for my wife and myself. She was wanting some benches for out on our property, because when we're out there hiking around and walking and just doing farm work and stuff, it's nice to be able to sit down, have a drink of water, catch your breath, things like that. So that was the original intention of these. But after so many people saw them, all my friends and family came over, and because it was Memorial Day weekend. And so everybody came over and we visited, and they all saw it, and everyone said that, oh man, you should sell those. Those are really cool. And people would buy them, especially once they're finished. So just giving you some ideas there, some little projects you can do around your house that are useful. And you'll always, every time you look down at that beautiful bench that you made, you'll be like, oh man, that was really fun. And I'm glad I made that myself out of things, out of scrap material that someone else would have just thrown away or discarded. So pallets are readily available. I get it, that hardware and things like that are not so cheap these days. So I ended up using like four screws where they connect on the top of each leg. So if I counted them up, I bet I used about 24 screws per bench just to assemble the lower portion. And then I used ring shank nails on the top boards so that they won't pull out. But mainly, it's been a whole lot of fun to do this, and I highly advise you to do projects like this. And burning the wood is just so fun. Since we got this depression on, I really shouldn't be wasting my precious MAP gas, but I don't know if you can see that or not. It's kind of bright on camera. When I purchased this, probably 4 or 5 years ago, because I don't use a whole lot of this stuff, but when I purchased this, it was $8.47 for a tank. I bet you that same tank could be double that these days. So I'm fixing to find out pretty soon. I would advise you to use propane if you have that available, because it's cheaper. Also, you might look in, if you're going to do a lot of this stuff, look into one of those big propane torches that are made to use like when you're burning weeds in your yard and things like that. And what I do is just keep the fire down low. And I kind of put it on like I'm painting it. And you can just see the color coming out. And you can take it to whatever level you want. If you want it to be truly, bug resistant and water and rot resistant, then you need to burn it pretty hard. But if you're just going for the design or for the beauty of it, you can do it real lightly like that, and it just pulls that grain out and just makes it really beautiful. And it also brings a lot of the color out. But for my finish on the top, I didn't burn at all. I just ended up putting, I sanded it lightly so that I'm maintaining some of the imperfections in the pallet wood, but I didn't want to have anybody getting splinters in their butt when they sat on one of my benches. So it's a lot of fun. You guys should do this. I highly advise it. And you can make whatever your heart desires out of this sort of structuring here. It could be shelves, it could be a single chair, maybe a coffee table for your back patio or something. Get out there and build something, guys. It's a lot of fun. Might want to wear some mosquito spray though, because they'll tear you up this time of the year. All right, it's time for the fun part. I'm going to throw the stain on, and this is what I'm using. It's this Flood CWF UV Clear, and we're just going to brush that on. Hopefully the camera will do it justice and show just how beautiful this wood is as the stain is applied. Really brings the color out. Pour a little of that in there. I've already stirred it off camera. All right, let's watch this color pop out. Hopefully that's showing up on the camera, just how the saw marks are still on that board. You can kind of see them going that way, and it really pulls that color out, and all the little imperfections just makes it really cool.